In this movie, Emma Thompson is a brilliant scientist and a lovable klutz. And from her point of view, what happens in this movie is she works for the university. She figured out a way to, she freezes eggs, human lady eggs. And then she meets big old Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, no!
They work together at the university. And then they go on one date. And after their one date, Arnold Schwarzenegger comes into her lab. And he says, I have to tell you something. I'm 7 months pregnant.
What?
He's like, I stole your egg and I put it in me.
What?
I invented a drug to make men pregnant.
Oh, no!
And it's your egg.
No!
Basically, this is a romantic comedy about Arnold Schwarzenegger inventing a new way to assault women.
Oh, no!
He's like, I made you pregnant against your will in my body. It's basically my sperm's in your egg, but I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you, so you can't be mad. This is a movie about pregnant Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What the fuck? I've never heard about
It's called Junior. They don't want him to have the baby, but he says he's bringing the baby to term.
No!
He's the Terminator, baby. So here's what happens. Arnold Schwarzenegger works in a lab. He's a monkey scientist. He's figuring out ways to impregnate monkeys. And he comes up with a drug that I guess prevents miscarriages. So it's basically a super fertility drug. And then Danny DeVito is his friend. And Danny DeVito is like an OBGYN. So then they go to the FDA and they're like, we came up with this fertility drug. We want to test it on women now. It worked in monkeys. But then they don't get approved. And then there's this guy named Baines. And he is the president of the bioresearch department at the university. And he's like, I'm shutting you guys down. So then they're shutting him down. He's leaving his monkeys. He says to a monkey, I'll miss you most of all. Like for the Wizard of Oz.
Oh.
At the end of the Wizard of Oz, she says, I'll miss you most of all, Scarecrow. The Wizard of Oz was a dream that a girl had. It was a wish fulfillment dream where she was coping with the fact that she was living on a dysfunctional farm. And in the dream, she just corrected all the disabilities of the people who worked on the farm. Because if you think about it, when she wakes up from the dream to her shitty farm, right? She's like, you were all there. So in the dream, she was correcting... Basically, these maniacs worked on her farm, and she had a horrible life, right? There was an ugly woman on a bicycle. That was the witch. Here she worked on her farm, according to her own subconscious. Okay, there was one guy that was just dumb. They kept him around the farm to do simple tasks. That's fine. And there was one guy that was a coward. That's fine, too. But then there was a third guy who didn't have feelings. And he was the guy with an axe. So she woke up to be like, you were all there. The coward, the idiot, the psychopath who has an axe. Basically, she lived on a farm with Jack Nicholson from The Shining. That was a movie about a woman who was so deep in trauma, she created a fantasy world because everyone on her farm had horrible psychological issues and disabilities.
Yeah.
When she woke up, she was right back in it, man. Anyway, so that's the Wizard of Oz. So then the mean guy, Baines, he's like, we're shutting you down and we're giving your lab to lovable Emma Thompson. So that was them meeting for the first time. Oh. Well, now I'm going back in time. Okay, they just met.
Okay.
So then their funding's cut, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger wants to leave, and DeVito's like, we got to stay. We got to see this thing through. And he's like, everyone hates me. I'm getting out of here. And he follows him to the airport, and DeVito's like, they won't let us do it on a human subject, on a human woman. Oh. And DeVito's like, why does it have to be a woman? And he's like, you're crazy. I won't do it. He's like, look, we'll fertilize an embryo and we'll just like put it in your stomach. We just got to see if it'll grow for the first trimester. They should have called this movie The Trimester. Then DeVito, they need an egg to put his sperm in. So he just goes to where Emma Thompson is in the lab. And he just goes and steals an egg. So they think they're stealing a woman's eggs. Okay. But we don't find out till later that it's hers. And it's just called Junior. They just take a big needle. They put the sperm in her egg. And then they just stick it in his stomach. And we cut to, baby's been delivered. He's in the hospital bed. A beautiful nurse comes into the room. And she's got the baby. And Arnold Schwarzenegger holds the baby. And then it cuts to the baby's head. And it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger face.
It's a nightmare!
It's a nightmare!
No!
He's like, Mama! Mama! He basically has a nightmare of what if this fucking baby looks like me?
Yeah.
Little did he know that his son would go on to be on the new season of White Lotus and do horrible things.
Oh, no.
The new season of White Lotus would have been an even bigger nightmare for Arnold Schwarzenegger to have. Why is my son doing that in the new season of White Lotus? My beautiful boy. So then he goes to Danny DeVito's house and he's getting the treatments. And then 4 weeks later, so Emma Thompson's like, I'm sorry they kicked you out. I won't tell the university. You guys can use the lab too. So he's in there. He's throwing up. Oh, but then Emma Thompson, she comes outside and she's like, the vomiting. She goes, are you on drugs? And he's like, I'm not on drugs. Then she gives a speech where she's like, men, you're such pussies about pain. You should try being a woman for a while. Our bodies are fucking haunted houses. It's a nightmare. She goes, the periods, the leaking, the swelling, the hormones, the spotting, the smears, the yeast.
Oh, no.
Ugh. She's like, the leaks and the stains. She's like, I need a loaded gun in my ass. And a robotic arm operated by a stroke victim to pinch my clit while I sneeze just to even think about coming. She's like, being a woman sucks. Because now Danny DeVito is going to go to the pharmaceutical convention to try to sell the drug. I guess they feel like if they sell the drug, then the drug company can push it through the FDA. And he's like, look, the company's interested. Let's get rid of it. If you just stop taking the drug, it'll just go away. But then he's like, okay, he tells him he's going to stop. He keeps going because he leaves him with the drug. So he just keeps taking the drug. When I experienced the beauty of pregnancy, it was like there was a little jingle inside of me. And I knew I had to jingle. I had to jingle all the way. 10 weeks go by. So then this is when he goes on the date with Emma Thompson. And this is when she says, I froze my eggs and I called it Junior. And that's when he realizes, oh my God, I've got her baby in me.
Yeah.
And he leaves. Oh, and this is when he goes to her and he tells her, he says, like, I have to tell you, Emma, I'm pregnant with your baby. And she's like, oh my gosh, she's freaking out. And so now he goes to a spa for pregnant women. Because when you've got a bun in the oven, the best way to heat that oven is with Doubtfire. So he's fully dressed up like a lady. Yeah. Now we have a montage. He's calling Emma to try to get back with her. He's doing aerobics. Lamaze calls her again. He's putting diapers on a doll. They show us how he pees.
Oh.
He just lifts his stomach up and pees.
Wait.
And the montage keeps going. If you were wondering how he had to pee.
But he could solve that just by sitting down, like a pregnant lady.
Well, I mean, how far do you want to go with this? Dude, become pregnant. Give birth to a baby. Dress up like a woman. But sitting down to pee? You know what? That was one step too far. I will never sit down to pee. Then he's giggling. He's learning to giggle. He's becoming a woman. And then Emma shows up. Emma shows up and goes, you might want to rethink the earrings. Because the final stage of becoming a woman is having another woman insult your outfit. And she's like, what you did was unfair, but fuck it, let's do it.
Oh.
Let's have a baby together.
Okay.
And then he goes into labor.
Oh,
There's just a baby loose in his body.
No.
Like, it's not in a container. They're going to give him a C-section. So he's all prepped for the C-section. They bring out the baby. All of Arnold's movies up to this point were about things that men do.
Right.
Being a predator.
Sure.
There's a musical called Annie, Get Your Gun. And there's a famous song where the actress playing Annie Oakley, she's a sharpshooter. And then she's singing a song to the other guy who's a sharpshooter. She's saying she can do anything a man can do. And the song is, anything you can do, I can do better. And he's like, I can do anything better than you. And this whole movie was Arnold Schwarzenegger saying to the women of the world, anything you can do, I can, Schwarzenegger. I can do anything, Schwarzenegger, than you.
No, you can't. Yes, I can.
Yes, I can. I was thinking if it would be funny if this was something that he just thought a man had never done. So what if he was like, I've invented a drug that makes female monkeys enjoy anal sex. Half of the monkeys did not like it, and now all of the monkeys like it. I need funding to test this on a human woman. And they're like, no, you can't. Arnold, you can't test your drug that makes women enjoy anal sex on women. And he's like, I'm leaving to the airport. This is my drug that makes women enjoy anal sex. And then Danny DeVito's like, buddy, it doesn't have to be a woman. What are you saying? That I could be the first man to have anal sex? But it's never been done. A man has never had it. And they just don't tell us. I could be the first man. The past was doing its best.
That's the theme song.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Leave them alone. They were doing their best.